welcome back to Compassion and Company. You're here with Jen Miles and Nelson Smyles.
Hello, how are we?
Hello. So he is a Cirque du Soleil performer. So Nelson, do you want to just tell us a little more about yourself, who you are, where you're from?
Thank you guys for having me, by the way, this is sick. I'm Nelson Smyles, I'm from Melbourne, Australia. I've been a circus artist professionally for the past 3 years, but in total it's been about 5 years. I graduated from the National Institute of Circus Arts in Melbourne, majoring in hoop diving and clown, and I have been performing with Cirque du Soleil's show Lucia as the hoop diver and the backup for the clown.
Wow, fantastic. And what got you into that?
I'd been a gymnast since about 4. One time Mum came out when I was a toddler and she couldn't find me anywhere, and apparently I was on the top of a dresser and it's all swaying and stuff, the fine china, and she was like, okay, we need to get this kid out of the house. So she threw me into a rec gym in Sydney, and I did gymnastics from then until must have been 17, I think, and I did a bit of high diving and platform diving stuff as well. And then I graduated school, and one of my gym partners and now best friend Cameron, he said, would you like to audition for the circus school? And I was like, I don't know what that is, but sure. And I had no knowledge or anything. I didn't know what a trapeze was before I even went. And we went down to Melbourne, we did the audition. We both got in, and so we packed up all our stuff, moved down there, did the 3-year course, and then about halfway through the last year, Cirque contacted me being like, are you interested in joining the show? And I was like,
wow.
What?
Wow.
So,
and that's when you came to Canada?
Yeah. 2 days after my graduation, I flew to Montreal. So from 35 degree days in the summer to negative 35 in Montreal, that was one of the hardest things I've ever been through in my life.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah.
So what do you know about self-compassion?
It's interesting. I did look up the word compassion before I got here, so I didn't sound stupid on the podcast. But in my mind, it's just about treating people as you'd like to be treated as well, and sort of being empathetic with them in a time of crisis. Yeah, I think that was what I said before I looked it up, and it turned out I was right.
Yeah. Well, you're spot on then.
Yeah. Yes.
How have you been showing yourself self-compassion with being an artist within Cirque du Soleil?
I think it's something you learn at school as well, is actually what they cover a topic of overtraining as well. So usually there's a really vicious cycle that people that are training will go through, where they'll try and learn something new and it won't work, so they'll keep trying it. And then it still won't work, so they'll keep trying it. And then as you progressively keep doing it, your body starts to atrophy, and then you start thinking less of yourself, sort of thing, because you're fatigued, so the skill won't work. So you're like, God, I'm the worst. I can't do anything. And so being able to recognize that before it starts, because it can lead people into depression as well.
Yeah.
If people do it for weeks and weeks, the body just starts to break and stuff.
Right.
So it's something that I'm actually thankful for learning, sort of recognizing okay, I need to take a break for a second, sort of thing. Yeah.
And so how are you taking those breaks? Are you just having to take time off, or are you just kind of having to slow down and recognize that what you're doing is challenging?
I think it depends on who you are as well. If you maintain it well, you can maintain a steady level of growth in your training, as well as maintaining the rest. If you don't go too hard, the harder you go, the more you have to rest, essentially. And so if you balance it out, I think I train about 3 hours a day, but then the rest of the time I don't do a lot else other than watch The Office these days. So.
Yeah. So are you still going in for training right now? With COVID and all?
I like to train for free. Yes. So I'll go, there's a baseball field up at Eldon Park, and beautiful grass, feels really good, and so that's where I spend most of my time training as well.
I've seen some stories of you. I love them. I always love watching them.
I Nelson Smyles on Instagram.
Yeah. Yes. Yes, we'll link it down below. I was actually a gymnast for quite a few years as well, and I've been dang, I want to get back into that. So if you ever want to go to the field.
Yeah, that would be awesome. I'm there all the time.
Okay,
I'm there all the time. And it's usually people like to get a coach as well, but at Nike they kind of teach you how to learn, sort of thing. So I just go on the Instagram, I'll follow all the artists that inspire me, look at some of their stuff and sort of analyze it, and then most of the hour is just spent eating it and then progressively eating it less.
Yeah. How have those other artists inspired you, and have they shown you any way to show yourself more compassion
They are.
in the field?
It's usually because you'll see a video of other guys doing something, or even live too. Actually, all of the artists that I work with are magnificent, and then you'll see them throw something absolutely insane, and then you'll just be like, wow, how did they work that out and build the confidence to do that? And it has to do with a good mindset as well. Like you don't want to approach something new in a negative headspace, because that's when it goes wrong, especially and once it goes wrong as well, you're in the air just like, oh god. So and seeing their habits as well, what they do, especially working with Lucy, and you hang out with the people and you see what they do outside of work. Like some people can train non-stop. It's incredible. And some people will take the time to sort of go for a hike or do a class or something like this. So it's kind of specific to who you are and how you train, sort of thing.
Sure. And you mentioned always making sure you're in the right mindset. So do you find that same mindset for your work with Cirque du Soleil applies to your life in other ways?
I think so.
Yeah.
Sorry, pardon me. I think I like to just keep it open as well. Like the guys that I train with, they challenge me a lot. I have a buddy, Melbourne, who will just say, Nelson, we're trying this today, and I'll just go, why? Why must we try this? And it's something ridiculous that I've never done before, but he keeps me, he keeps it going, confident. I trust him a lot. So it's about having an open mind to those things as well. So I think I like to carry that through because, I like trying new things all the time in my day-to-day life. And yeah, I think so.
To kind of change the conversation a bit, I'd love to hear more about your family and how maybe they've impacted how you understand self-compassion.
Yeah, okay. My mom is a painter. She's been a painter my whole life. I think she was in the rag trade, and she decided that she was just going to focus solely on art. So I think growing up with someone that, you could see only doing what they love doing was really, really impactful for me, I guess. You see someone not that she didn't struggle at times, but she was always happy and she was always doing what she loved doing. I'd always come home from school, from work, from training, and she'd always have a smile on her face while she paints, sort of thing. So to see someone live their life regardless of how you're supposed to do it, I think that was really important. Cool. My dad, he was a ballroom dancer. He went to the Royal Albert Hall, won the World Championship in 1984.
Wow.
Yeah. He was really good. So that was kind of cool. I was in London January, so he came and saw the show and stuff. So it was full circle moment. Yeah. And and he's kind of helped me with the motivation and sort of because he's sort of done the same sort of lifestyle before. So it's nice to have someone with the same level of experience.
Yeah, someone you can definitely relate to.
Yeah. And I think he keeps me level-headed and focused, sort of thing. So I think, being happy and being focused, I think that's an unstoppable force. I think. If you love what you're doing and you've got the drive to keep doing it, I think. When I think of self-compassion as well, I always think of it's a rest period too. It's usually, but it's also nice to have that, awareness in yourself to keep going forward. Yeah. Would you say you practice self-compassion most days? I like to think so. Yeah. There was it was a saying somewhere how to be mindful where you work, especially in the Royal Albert Hall, because we're underground the whole day. So it's all about keeping a level headspace. And one of them was take a break every 5 or 10 minutes. And it's really hard to know to take a break when you need to take a break. When you're focused on something and you're so focused on something, it goes into the overtraining thing again. You just spiral and spiral and spiral. And then once you're out of it, you'll be like, oh, I needed to take a break. Do you find, is there any kind of group self-compassion that you show together? Because I can imagine you're spending so much time with these people, right? And you mentioned the mental health aspect of, being in that training space, which is dark, like you said, it's underground. Yeah. Do you guys, are you kind of compassionate to one another as well? It was only underground when we were in the Royal Albert Hall in London. Usually it's open tent, beautifully lit, lots of space, sort of thing. it's a very positive setting. Like when you're training together and stuff and you're trying something new, once you get it, the whole room lifts up. Like everyone's cheering and stuff. It's really, really amazing. And you know, because we've all been there. Like everybody at Circus trains so hard to get there. They know what it's like to fail. They know what it's like when they've failed so often and then they succeed. That's one of the best feelings in the world. It's just that like, wow.
Yeah. I mean, I've seen your show and it's phenomenal, and just the energy in the rooms. I could imagine like the type of people there are probably pretty good people.
Yeah, they're awesome. Well, like it's like a second family.
Yeah.
Because we spend so much time together. Yeah. Touring, living. Yeah. You know.
Do you think you've learned anything from them about self-compassion?
Of course. Yeah. Seeing because the age range, I was the youngest for a while, and then the oldest was 50. In the group of artists as well, so there's a whole range of experience, and they've all come from different backgrounds and stuff. And you know, some people like to play video games, some people like to work on, you know, their marketing stuff like this. Everybody kind of does it the same, but also not the same. Like everyone will take the time. It just depends on what they're doing specifically and what interests them as well. Like everyone sort of has their wind down stuff that they do. Like I paint and I'll video edit, and I love video games as well. Like it's really
so for you, it's really about winding down and taking time for yourself.
That's
that's kind of like self-care more.
I think so. I think that's why I associate it with like the rest, is that the self-compassion is like an easier going sort of thing, as opposed to what I was talking about with my parents, how it's like a driving force at the same time.
Do you think another form of self-compassion for you could be just partaking in Cirque du Soleil, like doing that for yourself, like something that's so, for you, such a passion?
Yeah, well, it is. It's such a dream.
Yeah.
It was a dream.
Totally.
It still is a dream.
Yeah.
Like, when I got the first email, I remember waking up and I just read it and I was like, okay, scam. That's not real. And I left it for about a week. And then the thing in the back of my mind was just like, what if it's not a scam? What if it's not a scam? I was like, there's no way it's real. And
oh my gosh.
Yeah, and then so I applied, and then I responded just in time for everybody to go away for 11 weeks on like leave or whatever. So nobody responded to my email. So I was like, yeah, it really was a scam. And then the first moment that I read that I'd gotten the job, I was like, that was like euphoric. I remember just being there, just like, I think, how did this happen? Why did this happen?
Yeah.
And then I went to school and I told some people and nobody believed me that I'd gotten in.
That's so funny. No, guys, I'm serious.
I did. I looked someone dead in the face. They're like, so what are you going to do after you graduate? And I was like, yeah, I'm going to go to Cirque du Soleil. And she was just like, oh, yeah.
Yeah. Go. Who's this guy?
Yeah. And so...
and then they realized once you were in Montreal, they were
gone.
like, oh, shoot, okay.
Wait, what? I think I always go on tangents like that, just to relay it back to the self-compassion, is just to not forget about that feeling. Like getting in, suddenly everything that you've worked for paid off, but God did it pay off, like holy moly.
Yeah.
And it would always be as I like walk into the tent, maybe I'm tired, maybe I had a bad show, maybe I had a bad night, whatever, and I walk into the tent and I see that logo and I'm just like, what the hell? How did this happen to me?
Just a reminder that your work is so valued.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I think everyone can associate that with something in their lives, something that has like clicked over and just been like, this is an amazing moment, and it's something that can take you out of like a negative headspace. No matter what, you just have to sort of let it happen, sort of thing. Like I'd be sitting there and a little down, and then I'd look up and I'd see the sun, I'd see the tent, and just be like, okay, this is a gift.
Totally.
Sort of thing.
Yeah, well, just having that like environmental reminder, like, just being there
everywhere.
Well, I'd love to hear your thoughts on how you show self-compassion as a man, and how that's like influenced you being just born a boy. Like show it to others, or like just kind of to yourself. Like, how do you think like masculinity has informed you on how you show self-compassion?
I think because I grew up in a very feminine environment too. It was with my mom. It was always with her girlfriends and all of my like cousins and stuff that were all female. So actually growing up with a feminine background, I don't know. It's been I guess it makes it easier too to be able to show yourself that love and you know, time.
Yeah.
Not that I can say that, you know, growing up with a masculine figure around all the time would not have helped, but
Well, it seemed like you had a really strong role model as your dad.
Yeah, of
Being able
course.
to like relate to you with what you're doing now. So
Yeah.
That's probably helped you a lot with self-compassion and work ethic.
He and he just shows me, like, because he's got an amazing business at home that he's built from scratch, and because I was living with my mum, it was more the feminine side that came through more. So maybe I guess that's why I'm better at self-compassion as well. Because I think I don't know. That's tough. That's a hard question.
Yeah, no worries. Take your time.
You're like, because you're a masculine. You're a man. You're masculine. It's like, really? Am I? Are you sure?
Yeah. Yeah. Do you feel like you identify more with like femininity or masculinity? Like where do you kind of lie?
I guess just like I like both. I love both.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love I love the adrenaline. I love a good beer. Gotta love a good beer. I can't grow a beard yet, so I'm not really sure about that yet, but it is coming in.
Yeah.
And then feminine, I don't know. But same with my dad is also quite feminine as well. He loves to dress well, loves to look good, loves to, he takes care of himself a lot as well. So it's kind of like I grew up with my mum and my dad's also feminine, so sorry, Dad.
Oh, for you, it seems like your dad's really informed the way you take care of yourself. Is that true?
Yeah, well, yeah. He's shown me a lot of, like, it's just more of a focus as well, especially recently now that I have the goals. When I was a teenager, it didn't matter who told me anything. I'd just run around and do whatever. But now that there's a focus as well, my mum and dad are very much like they share the driving force as well. Like they're both at the helm, which is great. But yeah, super nice to have, especially in this part of my life when I have all that stuff when I'm working with Cirque, and then even now that I'm out, sort of thing, what to do and how to keep it sort of going. It's always been a very positive environment, which is awesome.
Totally. Yeah, definitely an environment that's fostered a lot of skills within you and how to take care of yourself, all of those things.
Yeah.
Well, I'd love to hear more about like your day-to-day self-compassion routine, if you want to call it that, and maybe specifically around how it changed through quarantine and COVID.
It's when quarantine started, I'd actually just absolutely ruined my ankle. I fell down a flight of stairs in London.
Wow.
Yeah. And then I did it because I was leaving a bar. We had like the final sort of goodbyes for London, and I was like, okay guys, I gotta go pack. I leave very soon. I was trying to be very responsible, and then just bang, absolutely ruined. And I don't remember falling. I remember taking a step, blinking, and being on the ground and being like, no. And I stood up and I couldn't walk, so I hobbled all the way home. It got like this big. I have pictures on my phone. It's disgusting. And the worst thing to do in that situation is get on a 40-hour flight to Australia, which is exactly what I did, because we were on tour break, so we had like 12 days. So I went home to see my granddad for a couple of days, and then I flew to Canada to see Zoe, and then I flew to Russia. So that's the longest possible route to Russia from London. Usually it should like be 8 hours, and I was like, and so anyway, when Russia, foot's ruined, fired. Okay, don't need to care about the foot so much anymore, because I was trying to not let anybody know about it. Yeah. And so for quarantine, suddenly I had all this time to focus on it and get it back to 100%, but it was really bad. It was really bad, so it took a really long time. It's only just like 100% now. Wow. Still swollen and that, but how that relates to the question is, usually at Cirque, it's they'll focus 100% of their energy on you when you're injured like that. Like you have a physio, you can go get x-rays, you go to the hospital, it's all covered sort of thing. So it's a lot easier to, get back on track once it's happened, and to have the opportunity to have to do it by myself was super interesting as well. Suddenly, it's like it's always been done for me. So what do I do? And it's been nice to have the time to focus on the injury and then the rebuild back up to a level sort of thing, which I am happy to say that I'm at now, but that's
Good. Yeah.
nearly 6 months since I did it sort of thing.
That must have been really challenging, like having that happen and then COVID as well.
Yeah, because I did the flight.
Yeah.
And my dad was like, "That's bad. You don't tell anybody about it because you might get fired." And I was like, "Oh, I don't want to get fired." And I kept it quiet and did all my X-rays and did all that stuff. They were just like, "It's just sprained. There's nothing broken." I was like, "That's good. I can come back from that." And then we got to Russia, and I was like, "Okay, here it comes. I'm gonna have to tell them. Okay, approach it. How do I?" It happened some other time, not at a bar, and they were like, "Coronavirus. We're not going to do any shows." And I was like, "Excellent." But so it's been great to have that time to know that I can do it by myself, how to do it on my own, and I've been lucky during this whole time as well to be surrounded by people that are very fitness and body orientated as well, and they're sort of teaching me how to train in new ways and how to maintain the strength and all this as well. So I'm very fortunate to be surrounded by people that are also very compassionate.
Yeah.
So it's very easy to
then
be compassionate and have self-compassion sort of thing. And
well, totally. I feel like environment would be such a huge part for anyone with
for
self-compassion.
sure.
Like who you're around you'll tend to mimic behaviors subconsciously even, right?
That's it. Yeah.
So, yeah. How have your friends been showing self-compassion as well as you?
During this time? Again, specific to the person as well. Like one of my buddies, he hasn't stopped. He works out at a gym. He trains at a gymnastics center. He'll do all different sorts of specialties as well, sort of just keeping himself fit. And it's also, because it's such a fine line as well, overtraining can lead to being sad and depressed, but also if you can manage it really good, it's a really good distraction from all of everything that's happening around you as well. Like he's gone through it this year, but I think the training and stuff has really sort of kept him focused and kept him prepared for whenever he needs to go back to work.
So that's almost like his self-compassion.
That's
just
it.
Doing the training and doing the work.
And then on the other end, my buddy saw this as a beautiful opportunity to go spend 4 months in Bali.
Yeah.
So he's away from work. He's got nothing else to do. He went there. He's had an amazing time. Fabulous. He's only just back now. And so again, dependent on who you are as well. And again, having those two people so close to me as well keeps me going, keeps me relaxed sort of thing. So very, very fortunate to have those two.
Definitely. I think support networks are everything. And like course. That can also put you to step up to, practice self-compassion and self-care and all those things because you're getting, inspired by one another.
Of course. Probably. Yeah. And
Yeah. I'd love to hear more, if you're open to it, about the mental health side of working with Cirque du Soleil and the, I'm assuming, intense hours. I feel like that could definitely affect.
Yeah. I guess it always depends on how you look at it.
Yeah.
Like I'd be doing everything that I was doing with Cirque for nothing. I'd always be training. I'd always be looking for shows to do and all this as well. So it's an awesome environment because training, you can train there. There's rehearsal times as well, and I feel full after doing a show sort of thing as well, like creatively stimulated. So that's always really nice. But it can get to a couple of people as well. I think one of the hardest things is being away from family and friends. That's always tough. Right. Some people don't handle it so well. Other people handle it like it was nothing.
Yeah. How have you handled it?
I moved 32 times and I went to 8 different schools while I was going to school with my mum.
Wow.
So I was born for this, essentially. Like we'd always move. I always kept really good contact with all of my close friends. And so I was always kind of ready for it then. Moved to Melbourne away from everything again. Kept contact with my family and then moved away from them to join Cirque. So keeping in contact with everyone and being away from them for such long periods of time, I was kind of always ready for.
It's definitely almost an advantage for yourself if you're so exposed to that.
Yeah.
Used to that kind of.
What mum thought was like the worst situation to grow up in actually ended up being one of the best things that could have happened to me, sort of thing. So
prepared you for who you are.
Who
right?
knew? Like, my mum's just there, like, rippled out her hair. We have to move again!
Yeah.
I'm like 7 years old, like, what? Where are we going?
Cool.
No doubt. Do I have a room? Great.
Yeah. Awesome. Kids? Sweet.
Put them in.
More friends.
I'm ready. Yeah, legit.
Yeah, you're a very like social person, so I'm sure that's natural for you.
And so yeah, as well. That's challenging for some people as well, especially when they're just on tour. Like the Luke, the guy that went to Bali when he first joined the tour. I guess no, he'd done it with Volta, but we had another girl who joined later as football, and she was finding it a bit challenging for that aspect, I think. So yeah, I think it's challenging like that. It's a lot of people also have a lot of trouble because circus is their hobby and their work. So now that they're doing their hobby for work and it's taking up a lot of their time, sometimes they can feel a little empty. So it's often, I was in a discussion once, and this amazing acrobat was talking about, especially when you get injured, this happens. You have to find who you are outside of circus, because if you don't have it, when you're injured and when you're out of work, you're going to be so down. Yeah. And so like I said, I paint and I do all this other creative stuff on the side, sort of thing that keeps me busy, but it comes up every now and then that some people feel a little empty when they're done with shows and they've got nothing else to sort of do. Well,
that must be hard because it's like their passion, hobby, and work, and that would be a huge identity piece for them too. So just being within that might be.
Yeah,
I can imagine that.
And depending on the injury as well, it like when you're in a group setting, you know, you spend so much time close knit, like you know, shoulder to shoulder, orifice to orifice almost, and it's like you're taken out of that situation as well. So not only do you feel empty creatively, but you're also kind of lonely. Like I got concussed when we were in New York. Slipped on the stage, slammed my head on it, and show stopped. Everyone's like, "Well, is he dead?" And I'm like, I walked away. And and then I was out for like 2 weeks, couldn't see anybody. So to, you know, be away from everybody like that, and you're not allowed to contact them on the phone because of the concussion, and no TV, no nothing. You're just in a dark room. Like, I hate this.
How do you get through that when you've gone through that?
I ignored a lot of protocol, did a lot of things that you shouldn't be doing with a concussion because I couldn't handle it. But you just have to know that it'll be there for you when you're ready. And the most important thing is taking care of yourself, sort of thing. And when you don't take care of yourself, often it will come back and it'll be worse, sort of thing.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And specifically, how did you show self-compassion for those even just 2 weeks?
I think, what did I do? That is a good question. Yes, the podcast.
Wrapping it back.
The 10, I'm so sorry. It was just tough. It was just so hard, like the first couple of days. But it's like, when you're in it, it's crazy hard. Like for 3 days, it feels like 3 lifetimes. You're just there sitting, darkness in a room, not allowed to do anything. Just like, you're not even allowed to think too much as well, because that's brain activity. So you're like spiral down.
Oh my gosh.
And during, it's really hard to show compassion to yourself. But once you're out of it, and once you've been through it the first time, it's really easy to show yourself compassion for the next time and be prepared for the next time, sort of thing. So. That's funny too. You have to go through the sort of crappy time to sort of be ready for it to happen again, sort of thing.
Yeah. Well, it's good that you seem to have that perspective though, like of, you know, it's not forever. Like this is going to get you back to where
that's
you
it.
need to be,
that's
right.
right.
So
yeah.
That's probably the motivational piece that helps.
Yeah.
In those
yeah. Especially in this like part, or like chapter of the world right now, is like you have to know that. You just got to keep going. Always just keep going.
For sure, especially with COVID.
That's it. Yeah.
It's thrown off.
You know, see the opportunity when it comes, and then just jump on it. Yeah.
I'm curious to know if you've had any other injuries or kind of setbacks.
Oh God, so many. Where should I start at the beginning? My ankles were always pretty bad. Acrobats will either have a hip, a knee, or an ankle thing because that's what they use the most.
Yeah.
And if I could go back and say something to 14-year-old me, it's just like, please warm up and do your ankle stuff because they are going to ruin you.
Yeah.
And I've done each foot 6 times.
Sprain?
Yeah.
Oh wow. Yeah.
This was the newest one is probably the worst one that I've had because I did treat it really badly at the beginning, which if you treat it really crap at the beginning, it takes a lot longer to recover. Like if you treat it right straight away, listen, everybody, if you treat it right straight away, it will recover a lot faster. But if you hop on a flight and let it swell, then you have to focus on getting rid of the swelling, and then you can start rehabbing the ankle as opposed to just rehabbing it straight away. Broke my thumb 6 weeks before I was supposed to go to Cirque, and it takes 6 weeks for a broken bone to heal. So I did my trick. I did it 1,000 times, screwed it up 1,000 times, and I went to catch myself, and I slipped. My hand slipped, but my thumb stayed, so it just went. And it just felt like and I was like, oh, I've cracked my thumb. It was sideways. I was like, oh, I've broken my thumb. We have to go to the hospital. And the guy I was with, Isaac, I was training with him, and he was like, no, you haven't. And I showed it to him, and he went, straight to hospital, straight to surgery. They put me in, they did the pins and all this stuff, and then I was out of the cast maybe 2 weeks before I flew away. Yeah. And so I didn't post anything on social media. I didn't let anybody know that I had a broken thumb because I was like, this is the end of my greatest opportunity in my life.
Oh my gosh.
And then, so yeah, just ankle, thumb, and I got concussed in New York.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a lot of pressure to, when getting injured, like that's a lot of pressure almost not to, like.
Oh yeah.
But that, that whole piece you're saying, like, not telling your work and stuff, like, oh my gosh.
Yeah. Well,
I feel the stress.
Yeah. Well, it's like it's that, and that just comes out of fear as well. Yeah. As soon as I told them, once I was there, I was like, I can't get rid of me now. Totally. So I said, I broke my thumb, and they're like, oh, that's fine. I was like, oh, why did I lie?
How do you think you have self-compassion for that fear?
Again, going through it. You have to go through it. Okay. While I was training at NICA, it wasn't so intense because we do a big anatomy course sort of thing. And one of the first things that he'll say, our lecturer, he said, you're going to get injured. There's no avoiding it. It's going to happen. You're going to push boundaries. You're going to push them too far. You're going to do something wrong sort of thing. You will get injured. It's about accepting that it will happen and then fixing and then maintaining it after it's happened sort of thing. So, and then you go into the severity of the injuries and stuff, and it's a beautiful lecture, which I'm in now. Actually, when I graduated, they put me in, I had my buddy on my back and stuff, and we're trying something new, and then he fell, and then I fell on him sort of thing, so that's my legacy. Thank you, Ian. So yeah, while you're training and stuff, and you've got no job opportunities as well, so there's no stress, but as soon as, your work comes into it, and depending on who you are and how secure the work is, you kind of want to, a lot of people will push through for the show. Same as any sport as well. Like you hear hockey players as well always push through on the broken ankle and stuff like this, and then month their career, like it's over after that. So kind of accepting it, doing as much as you can to fix it, and then maintaining that level of strength and stuff. Like you can always come back. It just depends on how hard how much it takes.
Yeah, it seems like that environment just really fosters that resilient piece and really kind of promotes that. Like you have to be quite resilient to be doing that kind of work.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. Well, I like to think so. Thank you very much.
Well, definitely coming back from injuries, because that's like, that can be emotionally tolling as well, and obviously physically. Yeah,
and especially as well if you don't have who you are outside of circus, then the only thing you're focusing on is the fact that you're injured, the fact that you're not doing what you love.
Yeah.
And then deep spiral again, sort of thing. Like it's a very fine line, sort of thing between like.
How do you make sure to keep like yourself outside of circus intact, and how do you kind of separate those two?
Because they're both art related. So it's very like the stimulation, the creative inspiration and stuff where I go for it is always the same sort of thing, and then I can draw, like say I see a show and maybe it makes me want to draw something or paint a picture or make something, and then when I go to an art gallery maybe I want to to do a new movement style or something like this with Cirque sort of thing. So it's nice to have the creative library, I guess, of everyone in the world sort of thing, always creating, always showing, especially with social media too. Now it's easy to get inspiration. And like I was saying, like guys that I follow, new movement, I want to, oh my God, I got the burps. I got a, I see a new movement, and you know, I want to go out and learn it. Suddenly there's inspiration for 2 hours of a day sort of thing. So, and like I said with my mum, she's a painter. So yeah, I learned how to paint before I learned how to write sort of thing.
How do you think your cultural background has informed the way you practice self-compassion?
Australian.
Yeah.
I guess the water, I think. Like, I grew up on a beach, and I also had a pool in my backyard. So I think, and I still do it now, where as soon as I wake up in the morning, it doesn't matter how cold it is, I will dive into the water. And that sort of gets me ready for the day sort of thing. And I really, really like that, because when I don't do it, it's 12 p.m. I'm still in bed. I'm still watching The Office. Like, you know, I haven't done anything sort of thing. And as soon as I get up and I do something like that, or like go for a swim at the beach sort of thing. I used to do that during school. Like, we'd have a free period. I'd be like, bye, swim, come back.
Totally.
It's like that's an instant refresher sort of thing.
So I'm kind of noticing a theme with you. Would you say like experiences and activities is the way you express self-compassion and show it for yourself?
I think so.
Yeah. You seem to be a very like tangible person.
Yeah.
Like, between like painting and the art you do and like your job.
Yeah. I like it. Well, I like experience more than I like anything else. And if the experience is a positive one, then it's something that you can relay back to yourself as well. I make a lot of video about like where I've been going sort of thing. And then even just watching that and seeing the journey as well is a way to sort of, you know, the stress just leaves sort of thing. Things are good, like you've come far sort of thing.
Totally.
And then
it's such a tangible reminder too.
Yeah.
Like that's such a great way to reflect.
It's so
almost
easy.
like having a journal.
Yeah, exactly.
Video one.
Yeah. And
cool.
Because it's so easy to get like overcumbered by the situation sort of thing. And so it's really nice to sort of, you know, remember something that was super fun, or like relate something to something else sort of thing that sort of brings you back sort of thing. I think, I guess like self-compassion for me is just keeping in a positive mind space. And I think the only way that I've been able to do that is, of course, go through the negative ones and then approach it in a different way than I did the first time sort of thing. Yeah. So, yeah.
Cool. Definitely a good way to, like you said, approach it. Yeah. So I'm curious if for yourself, has anything changed about your opinion of self-compassion just through this conversation, or?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah? I think now I'm a lot more, because it was like second nature stuff. Like, you know, this is what you should do sort of thing. And now that I'm aware of like what it is that I'm doing, because like I said, when I came into the podcast, I was like, I have to look up what this means. What am I going to talk about? I don't want to sound stupid. And I think it's given me a bit more awareness as well. Yeah. And having that awareness is like what makes you like self-compassion for yourself, and then, you know, to be compassionate towards others as well. Like recognize when they're in maybe a negative headspace sort of thing, and then you can sort of be there for them actively. Now that you're aware of what it is that you're doing. Actively, sort of thing. I like that. Yeah. Yeah. So thank you guys.
Of course, thank you for making the time and coming on.
Oh, of course.
Just sharing with us. It's great to listen.
Yay.
And to learn. So, thank you so much, everyone. I hope you enjoyed the podcast today, and we will see you next week on Compassion and Company.
Woohoo!